Snow and Cocoa. Today I am going to do a 2-page layout using the whole picture. This is a paid content that I have from Scrapbook Generations, and the premise behind the sketchbook is that you use complete 4x6 photos. So I was able to get 5 photos on the layout itself, and then I decided to use a insert with 2 4x6s and 2 3x4s on each side. So what you saw me there do is put in 2 4x6s for each side, and then I'm going to add a few pocket cards for the 3x4s. This pocket card here that I'm cutting out in the brown is going to be very simple. All I'm going to do is use this sticker, which I believe it's a car sticker, and add it directly to that 3x4. I didn't want to add anything else to it because it was a very thin sticker, so I didn't want to add any bulk or dimension to it. I then also cut out the February 3x4 card and used that so that I could date my layout and put my journaling on it. The other piece that I decided to use were these mittens, as well as the mason jar that had the trees in it. So I'm first going to work on the mitten card, and I do go ahead and use this green paper. I adhere it directly to that Cascade mountain sticker. I really like doing this for my 3x4 cards. That way they don't shift and I don't see one photo or card behind the other one, so I just adhere it directly to it. I did trim down the mittens card just so that you could see a little bit more of that green paper, and it really bring out the green in those mittens that are in that card. I decided that I needed a little something extra, so I did add some of this washi tape with the trees on it as well to bring in the trees from the other side on that mason jar. I cut off the edges because I can't tuck them to the other side since there is a card on the other side as well. For the mason jar, what I decided to do was cut out the mason jar. I fussy cut it out, and I added it to the pink kind of arrow paper. I do use the technique of, I don't know exactly what it's called. I just lay it down and kind of bring the ink further up into the piece. I do this a lot with items that I want to see more of the distressing to, and I really like the way that this turned out. So I went ahead and put that pink paper, adhered it to the back of the calendar paper, and then put this mason jar kind of tilted on its side. I used some twine, and what I like to do is usually put a piece of glue dot on the back, wrap the twine around a couple of times. This time I did it 3 times, I think, and then I'll put a glue dot where I want to tie down the twine in the front, and then cut off the extra piece. And then I adhered all of that down. I do end up adding a gold snowflake to that as well, and then my insert is complete, and I will start working on the layout. So this layout, I follow it pretty closely. I'm trying to use up a lot of my scraps at this point. I'm moving towards those scraps before I pull out any more of my full 12x12 sheets of paper, just simply because I didn't want a ton of scraps at the end of my journey with this Snow and Cocoa. I added the 3 photos directly to the layout, and then over on the left hand side it does call for 2 4x6 photos, but I decided to cut one of mine down to a 4x4. I used the cracked pistachio to distress all of the edges of the paper, and if you look at these photos you can tell that all of the photos were taken by me. If you look at these photos, they're really close up. They are really highlighting their faces. A lot of the photos are directly on their level. You know, the really good photos that you take as a scrapbooker. And then if you look at the photo of me that was taken by someone else, you can definitely tell that it is not the same photographer. So I am glad that I was able to get a photo of myself. However, I wish sometimes that my family and friends would kind of take hint from the photos that I take and take really good photos of me as well. But I'm in the layout, so that's all that really matters. I do go ahead and back both of those two photos that are going to be on the left-hand side with this yellow paper, and I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers layering guide to make sure that I have an even layer around each one of the four corners. So I didn't use any fun foam on any of the photos. I didn't feel like any of the photos needed to stand out any more than any of the other ones, especially since they are full 4x6 photos. They are really close shots of them. You get a full picture of everybody in the photos. The sketch called for a banner across the entire bottom of the pictures on both the left and right hand side, and I found this tree paper that I really liked and I wanted to use. So what I went ahead and did was used that tree paper and then cut out the banners to match along with that. So this burr paper was cut at 2 inches, I believe, and then added down to the paper next to the one with the trees on it. And then I just found some scraps of all of these other papers and cut them out. Some of them are 1 inch, some of them are 1.5 inch. I was just using the scraps that were available to me. And I go ahead and adhere all of those down after I ink them up and cut them into the banner strips with my banner punch. I do go ahead and add some gold washi tape to this as well, just to kind of cover up the lines between the photos and that paper. I know my voice sounds a little crackly, and I'm really sorry about that. I have been battling something that has been going around. It is crazy. I think it has hit almost every person that I know, and it has knocked all of us out for a good 2 or 3 days. I have been out of commission for 3 days now. This is the first day that I have felt anywhere near the ability to do anything. I have slept like crazy, and it's just been definitely a trying time. So I am glad to be on the mends, and I wanted to get these videos up for you guys. But that means that you get to hear my crackly voice. I used some pink twine on this tag over here that says chili with the snowflake on it as well, to pull in the twine from the pocket cards that are going to be in between these two layouts. I went ahead and cut out a bunch of hearts as well. I don't remember exactly what the sketch called for, but there was some type of shape, whether it was a heart or a star or something generic down there, and I wanted to mimic that with these hearts as well. So I went ahead and used my little heart punch in a 1 inch heart punch to punch out all of these hearts and add them down. And then I just pulled from the puffy stickers. I have some hearts and snowflakes and stars, just trying to add a little bit more dimension to those hearts that are down there at the bottom. I add these 2 really large snowflakes to the top left-hand side. I use the technique of the glue dot on each of the ends of the snowflakes to make sure that they stay down. On that teal one, I also added a few pop dots on a couple of the snowflake pieces as well, so to give it a little bit of dimension. This cut apart here, I go ahead and use some pop dots on it. It says snow day, and then it has kind of like a checklist of coat, boots, mittens, scarves, and hats, which I thought was really cute because that's obviously what we all needed when we were out doing this tubing. So I added a little bit of the gold washi tape on this piece as well to kind of mimic from the piece that is underneath the photos. So of course I'm going to add liquid adhesive to all of my chipboard pieces because we know we have to do that to make sure they all stay. And then I pull out my Heidi Swap Color Shine in teal and add some splatters all around the layout. And then I do one last thing of journaling, and I put my journaling on the card with the month of February on it, and it just says we had so much fun on this 800-foot long chute of snow tubing. And I circled the first, and I added the year 2019. And that is it for me, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this layout. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layouts, make sure you hit that subscribe button because that's all you're going to get on my channel. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.